Hi, welcome to Dark Horse Matters with Bev. This podcast is a podcast that where creative minds and ambitious souls can come to share their journeys and talk about their missions in life and their dreams and what they're trying to accomplish. And many of the guests I interview on this show are business owners, entrepreneurs, creative people, artists, and also just passionate people who want to make a difference in the community and want to make a difference in other people's lives. So my mission or my goal for this podcast is to inspire others, to really look at themselves and, look at what makes them happy and hopefully inspire them to go after their dreams. And please, like and subscribe this channel and share it with your friends. I post a new video every Monday, and hit that notification bell so that way you can be notified whenever I post a new video. You never know. You might hear someone that speaks to you and will motivate you to take action and move forward with your dreams in life. So with that being said, today's guest is a special friend of mine. One of the first friends I made here in Atlanta when I moved here to Georgia. I know her through work. She is one of the most amazing dental assistants I've ever met, and I've been in the business for 20 years plus. So that's a lot when I say that. She is an incredible mother. She's a single mother, and it always resonates with me when I talk about single mothers because I know how hard it is to raise children in a single income household, and just to be that source and strength for them. And I really admire that about her. And also, she's been through a lot. She's the epitome of strength. She's been through a lot in life, and she holds it together. And she holds it together with her faith and selfless service that she provides to the community. And I want her to share that with you guys today. So please welcome Joy Campbell.
Wow, that's very inspirational. Thank you, Beth, for saying all awesome things about me. I appreciate it tremendously.
Thank you so much for coming onto my show today. I really appreciate it. And I singled you out and asked you to come here because I think what you're doing, to help the community is so important. And, like a lot of people are not served in this way, and it's very important work that you're doing to help the community. And we'll get to what she actually does in a moment, but I just thank you so much for coming to share, with everyone what you're doing to help people. But I wanted to start off with just talking about just the memory of of us together, like just what I remember being special in our relationship of the time that we've known each other. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Dragon Con. In 2018 was my very first Dragon Con. I didn't even know what Dragon Con was until I moved here to Georgia, and I hear stories from my patients all the time. And I'm like, what is Dragon Con? What are you guys talking about? And I just decided, like, I made it, put it on my bucket list. I'm gonna do it. So in 2018, I did the Dragon Con, got dressed up and everything. But Joy spent the night with me after Dragon Con in an Airbnb in Atlanta, and I dragged her to this heavy metal karaoke bar. And we stuck out like a sore thumb over there that night, but we had so much fun, didn't we, Joy?
Yes,
Did
we
you have fun
did.
that night?
Yes, yes, it was a lot of fun. That was my first and my last.
Your first and last. I think it's going to be my first and last too. Thank God coronavirus wasn't like, a thing back then because we were like stuck, against the wall. It was like so packed like sardines with people in there. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Yeah, that was an experience. But, I thanked you for being a trooper because nobody else wanted to come with me for that. And you volunteered. You got stuck with it.
Oh my
But
goodness.
anyways, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, where are you from originally, and do you have any brothers and sisters? Let us know who you are.
Okay. Well, like you said, my name is Joy Campbell, and I am originally from Jamaica, West Indies. I came to the States when I was 10, And I have four brothers and a sister. So, but she got married when I was very young, so it's like I was the only girl. But it was awesome, and we moved to New York City, and after that we moved to Florida, and prior to that I got married and have had two children in New York City, and went to Florida and had another child there. So, and then we moved here to Georgia and loving it.
Wow. How long have you been here in Georgia?
I've been here in Georgia this summer would be 22 years.
Wow. I mean, do you consider this like your roots now? Like you planted your roots here? You don't see yourself moving anywhere else?
I don't, but I don't know what God has planned for me, so we'll see. I don't know.
True. You never know. Like you always feel like, you could feel one way and then next thing you know, you're off somewhere else. It just depends, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, how long have you been in the field of dentistry? Like, how long have you been doing this as a dental assistant?
Um, Same time as long as I've been one more year because I'm in the field with 22 years now, and I went to school in Florida, and when I graduated, I came to Georgia. So just as long, a year, 23 years, I would say, including school. And I love my profession. It's awesome.
What did you do prior to being a dental assistant?
Before that, I was a receptionist slash trainer at Charlotte Vocational Technical Center in Florida. And that's when I got inspired to go back to school and becoming a dental assistant. I had no idea what a dental assistant was. And we had a class there, and the mother and daughter went through the class. And then I asked her, and she said, a whole year she didn't clean her house. And I'm like, that doesn't inspire me, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. So I resigned my position, went back to the same school that I worked at, and a year later I graduated.
But like it's funny how everyone gets into dentistry a different way. Like everyone's story of how, because most people who see us do this job, they're like, you guys are weird. Why are you guys working in a dental office? You're a weird person. We're categorized as that because most people hate going to the dentist, but
Yes,
I don't know.
yes,
Dental people are weird because they like it
yes,
a lot.
exactly. Yes.
But I guess tell me about your family. Like, what was it like, coming from a different country and then coming to America? What was that like? Tell me, like, what your experiences were, when you first moved here. How old were you when you first moved here?
When I came to the States, I was 10. I had not just, but I was a little over 10 years old. And it was a total life changing position for me. I had no idea. Looking back now, I had no idea what was going on because we lived in the city, never saw a train, wasn't in a high rise apartment and just people everywhere, no grass, no animals, no anything. So it was definitely a life changing position for me and my brothers. But we embraced it. We were living in New York City, in East New York, so we embraced it. And I went to elementary school and learned a lot. It was difficult when we first got here because it was winter, and I had no idea what winter was. So we had coats. It was cold. Had to go up steps to get into your apartment, and I never knew anything about that living in Jamaica. We were pretty much free spirited. Lived in our own house, and it was one floor with big yard, and we were outside playing consistently when we're not in school. So this was very, very different for me.
Wow. I mean, that must have been a huge culture shock. I mean, because Jamaica, I mean, it's an island. It's like Hawaii, like the tropical, and I can't even imagine like having to deal with the winters of New York. Oh my God. Like that is just like polar opposite. Like I'm from Hawaii and just coming to LA was a big enough change for me and it doesn't even get that cold over there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was introduced to snow and ice and everything because we came here in August. So it was a culture shock, definitely, with everything.
Did you spend most of your childhood in New York City?
Yes, I did. I went to high school and there and some college, and then I left and went to move to Florida.
What about your brothers and sisters? Are they still over there, or they moved to Florida?
Yeah,
Or they're living in Florida now?
yeah. I have two brothers in Florida. I lost a brother in New York City, and my other brother lives here in Lilburn, and my sister lives in Virginia.
You guys are all spread out though, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes,
I
sir.
know my sisters and I were all spread out as well.
Yeah.
It's rare that we're all under the same roof, at the
Yes.
same time. We
Yes.
were actually on a Zoom call recently, all of
Wow.
us. At
Yeah.
least we can do that now.
Yes. That's a yes. Yes. That's special.
So I wanted to talk about, like what you're doing for the community. You, in the past, like you suffered a great loss, a loss of a loved one, and
Mhm.
this has a lot to do with what you're doing for the community. So can you share a little bit about what happened and, what led you to being inspired to working, this service that you're doing?
Okay. Sure. I lost my youngest son almost 10 years ago. He was 24. He got murdered downtown Lawrenceville, Georgia. And that was not, I mean, has definitely rocked my world. And also, I have two other, older children and grandchildren at the time. And it was a sudden death. And we got a call in the middle of the night that no parent wants to hear. But we got the call, and because it was in different counties, we were living in it at the time, so we had to go to Gwinnett. And so they called on the phone, and like I said, that's a phone call nobody ever wants to get. And from then on, it changed a lot of things, that how I view life, how I see. But it took a while. It was a process. It was definitely a journey, and still is a journey.
Yes. You know, for me, I think that the people who have experienced a loss like that, a tragic loss, a sudden tragic loss, I mean, I feel like people like that get put in a different category almost like you're 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 it's almost like I don't know if you've seen that movie Harry Potter,
Mhm.
there was that episode where they were being riding in carriages and the horses were invisible, but only
Mm,
the people who have experienced death or have seen death, can see the horses. I
yeah,
feel like that's how it is when you experience a loss of a loved one. Your life changes like it impacts you so much that other people who haven't experienced it will never understand. It's they cannot even pretend to understand. So, like it just puts you in a different category of I don't know, life really, because that it impacts you so much, and it even though you can heal from it, it will never go away,
right,
and it's something that you have to learn to address and accept, and you almost have to make friends with it.
right. Hmm.
And yeah, so I just admire how strong you are because I can't even imagine what you went through. I will not even pretend to imagine that. And I've experienced a loss too, a sudden loss of my father when he passed away. It was a tragic accident on our farm. He got crushed by the tractor. And that's a phone call we got that we didn't expect or ever want to hear. And it just changes you for the rest of your life. And I just really admire what you're doing to help other people through this process because some people don't come out of it very
Right,
well.
right.
you know they don't
Hmm.
deal with it in a healthy way, and they don't come out of it ever. They don't have that relationship with it that builds strength and empowers other people. So I think that's really incredible what you're doing.
Thank
So
you.
can you explain to me like the kind of things that you guys talk about in your or tell me about like this group that you're in, like how do you impact people?
Okay. I was introduced to Grief Share about 6 years into my grief, and it was a class that's offered at my church, church. And what we do is 3 parts of it. You have a book, we look at the view, excuse me, view a video, and also we have discussion. So it's, I mean, extremely, extremely helpful. When I got introduced to it, they were going through the surviving the holidays, and I was just approaching the holidays. It was going on to Thanksgiving. My son's birthday is November 20th, so usually we'll celebrate his birthday in Thanksgiving. So with the class, we sit, we talk, and it's only we share is for anyone who has lost a loved one, and that's basically what we communicate with each other. We form a little community, and it's a 13 weeks course or class, I should say. It's a session, and we just basically, follow the curriculum and become a small community for the 13 weeks that we're together. And sometimes I do have participants that comes back and do the sessions again. They just need that more intimate journey with God, and while they're going through it. So we do have people that come back to class.
I like that the classes are long, like that 13-week period, because you cannot come through this in like 3 weeks, or you know what I mean. Like, I like that the class is long, so you guys can have repeated encounters with each other over a long period of time, because you cannot go through this without building relationships with
Right.
others to really help you get through. And I think that's really powerful.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
do you guys ever talk about like the different stages of grief in your group? Because I know like people are not in tune with their emotions. Like this is something that I'm just really, really trying to learn more about, how to be emotionally intelligent. A lot of people just have a few words to describe how they feel. They're mad. They're happy. Like sad. I mean, but there's a whole spectrum of emotions involved, and with grief especially. I mean, there's anger, there's blame, and all this kind of stuff. And I just think it's so important to help people understand, like, you have to identify what you're feeling inside,
Mhm.
and that way you can label it, and you can know how to deal with it, and then you know how to move forward. You know what I mean?
Right. And there are 6 steps to the process. So, we start very, um, not light, but to me, what we try to do is get more attention to the individual, and we ask them to talk about their loss if they choose to. They don't have to, but we encourage it. And now we are doing Zoom, so that's a little impersonal again on top of the loss. But so far, we've had participants who come, and they get involved, and we do have the class section, same thing, twice a year. So there are different stages in it, so we don't rush through. To me, getting to talk, get for them to do their homework so they can come back and talk about what they learned during the week. And like you said, we do have to embrace it. It's not something that's going to, for me, it's not going to go away. It's a part of me. And I don't want to, one of the things that I try to understand is that I didn't lose my son. He's not lost. I know exactly where he is. So I don't look at it as that. And I know one day I will see him again. So it's learning to identify with your feelings, learn to understand that some of the things that you're feeling and some of the things that you're doing are normal. And you just have to give yourself that time to adjust as you go forward in your journey.
Yeah. Yep. Have you ever, I mean, do you have any specific examples of like people who, I don't know, what kind of struggles do people go through when they're in the program? Like anything that hinders people from coming back sometimes? I guess it's different for everyone, but any specific struggles that you've encountered dealing with
Yeah,
certain people?
I think even with myself is acceptance and being stuck, because sometimes you don't want to accept the fact what has happened. You find blame. You blame the Lord. You blame yourself. You blame, others around you that you didn't do this right or you didn't do that right, or there's things that you could have done differently. So it's just basically acceptance. And then, like I said, for myself was stuck. think that you're okay to move forward and what you're doing is all right, but you're really not. And when you realize through other people talking to you and through the program, realize that really wasn't, you're not moving forward in life. You're existing. You're just coping with what your feelings and what you're going through, but you're just basically stuck.
Yeah, I can see why that having a community is very helpful with that.
Mhm.
Because if you're not talking about it, you're not going to even realize that you're not moving forward. Like
Right.
talking is just so important to just get it out, like don't bottle it up inside. And a lot of times if you don't talk about it, you just don't even realize it's bottling up until it comes out in a way that is not so pretty sometimes, you know what I mean? Yeah, and there's always triggers too. Like I've noticed like in myself, like there's certain things that you would hear, see, or songs that you listen to, or something that can trigger it to come back, those feelings, And I mean, it just, it's some, even because my father, he passed away a long time ago. I was 15, years old. And, he was the only man I ever trusted, in my life. And I don't know if that has something to do with, my relationship with men now, or lack thereof. But I mean, he really was the only man I ever really, really, truly trusted. And even though it wasn't his choice, it was like he abandoned me, And I just find that interesting. Like the more I kind of dive deep into emotions and looking at it like that, like the triggering that certain things can trigger those feelings to come back, even if it's that long ago. So
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Those kind of when you lose, when someone dies in your life, that's someone that's important to you. It never goes away. It's always there, but it's important to understand what you're feeling and just you have to have a relationship with it, and that way it becomes more like a blessing that you didn't forget, that it's always there. It isn't
Mhm.
part of a memory, it's a part of you, but
Right.
it's not something you're blocking out and you don't want to feel.
Right.
You have to let yourself feel that way.
Right. Right. Yourself. You have hit a lot of very important and vital um, ideas and situations and journeys in our lives, but you definitely cannot block it because you want to, because it hurts so much. But like we learned, we hurt because we love. If we didn't love, we wouldn't hurt. So we do have to embrace it. And Gwinnett always had, unfortunately, with COVID, we didn't have it last year. Always have a victim. The end of the year, they do a visual for all the people that was lost in that particular year, and they just tell us, you're in a club that you didn't ask in, but you
Hmm.
and then we can. It's just sometimes mind-boggling. When I started the going to them, it was a smaller group. We had it downtown Lawrenceville in the courthouse, and then it got so big that we had to move it out into a church. So I hope they will bring that back because I think it was very, very helpful just to see that the community of Gwinnett County they cared, and that was important.
Wow, I didn't realize that it got so big like that.
Mhm.
And I mean, how powerful is that? Like, what was your experience like at that vigil?
It was wonderful because they had a bell that they would chime for everyone that had lost their life that year, and then they had pictures that they would show us of our loved ones, and the district attorney he would speak, so they would have another person, one of the family members speak, explaining their position and who they lost, and that was really good. And then at the end, we had the visual where we lit candles and just had a moment of silence. So it was very special, very intimate, very big.
Wow. Well, I hope, like, with this pandemic, if things, come back and we can actually be in the same room together. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much more powerful when you can connect with people that way. Like, at least we have Zoom now. I mean, that's something, but it's not the same. It's just
No.
when you're in the presence of other people going through the same thing as you can feel their emotions, and
Yes.
it moves through you almost. And, it's like the Holy Spirit, like that feeling. And that's, I think, so crucial when you're going through something like grief. You need to feel that kind of support in that way. And I hope that they'll open that back up to the community soon. So the people that come to the classes, like, do you guys only talk about grief as opposed to, like, like with somebody who has died, or do you guys also help people who have lost, who are grieving a relationship? Like, there's a lot of people who've gotten divorced and they have to cope with that, and or people who have been in abusive relationships, codependent relationships, relationships with a narcissist. Like, there's so many people that you can still feel grief, when you severed a relationship with somebody that you've been used to, conditioned so long, even if it's good for you almost, like, you still have that feeling of loss.
Right.
And you don't know where you're going, what you're just lost. You know what I mean? You've lost, and now you feel lost.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, do you guys help people like that too? I mean, I guess it's a different kind of grieving, but I would imagine that, it's kind of the same too. I mean, you need that same kind of a support from people.
Yes, yes, you do. With Grief Share, they do have a divorce care class that's also a 13-week long, and it starts at the same time as Grief Share. And they have a single parenting class that starts, and that's all under the umbrella of Grief Share. But with Victory, we have a care ministry. So they have those others that you mentioned. They facilitate that at the church under the umbrella of the church. So, and I thought, that's awesome because, like you said, we all need and should look for help in certain different ways and certain different facets. So I'm glad that the church is stepping out and doing that. So they are, and there is help for someone in any one of those capacities.
Do you have, like, can you share with us some information on how people can find this program? Like, if I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have, need help, but they just don't know where to go or where they can seek to find a community like this. So can you share with us, like, where people can find the information?
Sure. If you go on the griefshare.com website, it will give you the wealth of information that we have for each three of those programs. And then you can look for a church in your area. So it's pretty much all over the United States. And there's many churches that is facilitating these programs. So you just go on griefshare.com and look where it says my church or a church. Well, it says my church, and then you can look for a church in your area.
That's great. I'm glad that they have that information accessible to the community. And I thank you so much for coming to share your story, because I mean, I know a lot of people are out there who are feeling, all kinds of ways, and they just don't know how to ask for help or where to go for help. And I think it's so powerful that came to share your story, and just, give people options to, go have some place to go to receive help. So thank you so much, Joy, for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. That's just honorable of you to, look out for your community and know that there's always help. And the only way people are going to find that out is by sharing and being a part of the community.
That's right.
Thank you very much for asking me to come and be a part.
Yeah, no problem. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and stay tuned till next week. We'll have another guest, and hopefully more people will be inspired to really impact the community and change people's lives. So take care, God bless, and aloha.